those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? But can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? But can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow the road. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
Hello, everybody. Welcome into the Thursday episode of Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you by our good friends over at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Anthony Hartwig alongside DJ Oakley, who looks pretty ready for the NFL opener tonight with that nice Josh Allen jersey.
I'm just saying, he's my fantasy quarterback, and that's why I have this jersey. I came prepared, Anthony. I came prepared.
Someone else that is coming prepared is going to be the head coach of the Jefferson Falcons. He's going to pop in with us, the red-hot Jefferson Falcons, who are 3-0 going to NEA play. Coach, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Hey, absolutely. Thank you guys again for having me on.
Coach, last time we talked to you, you were coming off that big first week one win where you scored 66 points and you guys were looking so good, but you have kept the momentum rolling through the next two. What has been the key to this hot start and starting off non-conference play 3-0?
I think it starts with, practices. Our Monday practices, it felt like Tuesdays. We haven't hit that slow Monday yet. We've carried that momentum into practice on, the Saturday morning lifting and the film session. So, so far so good. No complaints with these kids. They've showed up ready to work.
Coach, when you're talking about Jefferson, you can't go very far without talking about your quarterback, Rand Hitchcock, who's having an outstanding year. I should say another outstanding year and finally getting some accolades up there. Talk about his leadership. He's got the numbers, but his leadership, it looks like on the field, he is a game manager and a guy that people look towards when going gets tough.
Yeah, we try to keep the ball in Forrest's hands as much as we can. He's just a student of the game. He comes from great family, so he's just a respectful young man. Kid just gets the job done. He just actually walked by in the locker room right now, but we're always somewhere close to each other. But no, just like I said, a phenomenal kid, phenomenal leader. And that stems from practice. Monday through Thursday, he's taking every rep serious, and all the way from the time we're in the locker room to the time practice ends and the stretch line. He's definitely our leader.
And he's not the only player on your roster that is just 1 year older this year. How much of a difference in experience and maturity have you seen from your team from last year to this year already?
Lots of growth for sure. Even physically, we've gotten a little. Those guys are obviously a year older, so a little thicker, a little faster, a little stronger. But definitely, the mentality has shifted a lot in the right direction. Wade Woodworth and Mason Pulowski, I know I mentioned those guys before, but they're doing a great job leading up front and at the linebacker position, and Trent Hodge with the receivers. So definitely blessed to have this class, and I'm definitely going to miss these guys.
When you talk about Jefferson football, we always talk about it. You guys had a successful run through non-conference last year, and then I talked about with Coach Yeagley of South Range last night. This NE8 conference is a grind. It is a gauntlet, if you will. From your perspective, when you guys look into, kind of where you've been and how far you've come, there's probably a little bit of a revenge factor for you guys moving in to this year and knowing what you have on the field, correct?
Yeah, like you nailed it in the beginning. It's a heavyweight fight, week 4 through 10. Looks like Lakeview's doing a good job over there as well. Got some good momentum. Not that we're looking ahead, but just kind of paying attention and supporting our league. But man, there's definitely no week off. These coaches in the NBA have done a phenomenal job of, year in and year out, making this thing tough every time you line up against them.
DJ said it last year. You were in the same position. You had a really good non-conference slate. You went 3-0, and then the NE8 hit. Do you think going through that will help this team in NE8 play this year, knowing that 3-0, it kind of gets erased when you go into the NE8 play?
Sure. I think the biggest difference between this year and last is, the result of that game week 4 last year, going down there. Honestly, I don't think the kids had the same expectation that I had as the coach. I guess I always feel like we can compete with most teams, and I think it might have surprised them a little bit last year, but I think this year, one, we all know how good Gerard is, or the film doesn't lie. They're every bit of what they've been advertised as, and some, on both sides of the ball. So credit to those guys and that staff. But our kids now, I think I think it's clicking. I think they really believe going into this. It's no longer, we can beat the local teams, and here we go with this NE8. We'll be at the bottom of this thing. I don't think we're thinking that way, and I don't think people understand how good Harvey was, is and was. That's a really good ball club. They could play in this NE8 right now. They had size, they had speed. Their coaches do a great job over there as well. So I think we got a little taste of it week 2. And, we're definitely looking forward to tomorrow night with a really good team coming in.
How challenging is it to try to not put too much emphasis on this one game? Because obviously it's 2 heavyweights going at it in week 4. You're one of the marquee matchups on YSN. So when you think about it, you have this game, but you also have 5 games after this one, or 6 games after this one, that you have to focus on as well. So if you win the game, you don't want to get too high. If you happen to come up short, you don't want to get too low. How much of the stock have you and your team and your coaches especially put into, okay, we got to prep this, but we don't want to put too many cooks in the kitchen?
Sure. That's a great question, and a great way to, I think for us, we've approached it the same way we've approached weeks 1 through 3. We have, 4 quarters to play of football Friday night. We're at home. I think the bigger thing is trying to make sure homecoming is not a distraction, and some of these guys being on court. But I think as for lining up and playing Gerard, we know what's ahead without, looking too far ahead. And, I think we're laser focused. We're just locked in on, playing Jefferson football for 4 quarters at home. We love playing at home, and just trying to carry some of this momentum, understanding that, it's a whole new ball game. It's a whole new week, but you take the good and the bad from weeks 1 through 3, and you break down your opponent as best you can. And ultimately the kids got to line up and execute the plan.
You said it's a home game. You love playing at home. And every time we talk to coaches outside of Jefferson in the NE8, they talk about just how tough the road trip to Jefferson is. A lot of good teams in every sport kind of go, and they say we have to struggle to go and play well in Jefferson. What kind of home field advantage have you seen when teams have to come to your place and you get that home field advantage?
Teams, I think, our administration has done a great job of just, building up and helping to create a great atmosphere here. But the thing is, we're still learning how to win. I think even our fans are still learning how to adapt to that environment. But they've done a great job of showing up week in and week out and making some noise. But I think ultimately for us, the schedule is a little easier, when we don't have to hop on the bus for 40 minutes to an hour, to go show up and do the away game ritual. But, kids now, I work in the school, so there's a buzz, and it's exciting when a program is having some success. So kids are looking forward to it. So man, the new scoreboard helps, and, we try to make it a great experience. And, I guess home is home. Whenever you don't have to hop on that bus, you should have some kind of somewhat of an advantage there.
I got to give you a shout out for those red lids, man. They are sick. Those are awesome. I love them. I think that's very, very cool. The kids had to be hyped about those for sure.
Yeah.
But when you
Appreciate
think
that.
about, yeah, absolutely. So it's all about how you look, right? Look good, play
Sure.
good, all that stuff.
Feel good. Yeah.
So when you're looking at and you're not looking forward to the year of next year, right? 2023, but
Sure.
you're in an interesting spot here because you're the first one to kind of go through this, as Jefferson has kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out of the NE8. Do you feel like the kids just, you don't have to kind of leave any meat on the bone, prepare for next year? You're just kind of going to go all out and whatever happens, happens?
Yeah, it's no secret. This is the biggest class we've had here, and next year will be what it is. We start this thing over again. But I think our motto this year is just we're going to go out there and we're going to throw punches every week as best we can, and understanding that we're in a heavyweight fight weeks 4 through 6, and we want to make sure we're remembered for the right thing when we get out of this thing. And we do have Girard on the schedule for a couple of years. We have Lakeview on there as well. But for the rest of those teams, we've been they've been putting it on us for a little while now, and hopefully we can leave with and earn a little respect this year.
You said it earlier, you work in the school, and it's such a blessing for coaches to be able to work in the school building and be able to see these kids off the field. From your perspective, how much of a blessing is it for you, and how much of a benefit is it for you to be able to work in the building and see these kids off the field?
Man, it helps tremendously, because when you're coaching any sport, it just helps to get to learn the kid outside of the sport, right? So care about the kid outside of the equipment, outside of the locker room. I get to see all the little, tit for tat, little problems with the girlfriend, or getting denied the homecoming, or, all the little fun stuff that comes along with it. And, it helps me better to prepare, the practice plan, how to treat the kid at practice, what to expect that day. But ultimately it gives me an opportunity to fist bump, high five, hug a kid, all throughout the day, every day that we come to school. So again, our administration has done a great job of making sure, I'm put in a position where I'm able to connect, and not just with the school, but even the student body, which has helped, I think, with gaining some of that momentum with home field advantage and kids actually wanting to come out and watch the football game on Friday nights.
Coach, you're a great leader. We've seen it on the field and off the field. Who are some of the people that you've kind of utilized as mentors from that standpoint? It could be anybody. Is it books? Is it authors? Is it people like, other coaches around the area? Is it coaches nationally? People that you've kept your eye on and say, okay, I'm going to take a little bit out of this, a little bit out of that, and kind of make up who Brandon Hanna actually is.
Sure. That's a major compliment. So I do appreciate that greatly. But I think right now I feel like, I haven't found a book that can, teach you how to be a head coach, or, the important outside of game planning and the typical football things. But coming into year 2, just helping to keep me grounded has been my pastor, Tony Boyd, and just making sure that there's constant communication there, that things are good on the sideline, things are good on a Monday night outside of practice, just from a life standpoint. Also do want to shout out my superintendent, JC Montanaro has been a huge it's great to be able to go take a break and walk over to the administration building and have lunch if need be, and just let go of some things. And also our AD, I'm fortunate enough to be in the classroom next door to him, and just again, it's just having simple conversations, or seeing how it feels when we're starting to have a little success, and getting that same fist bump and encouragement when we do take some lumps. And lastly, from a football standpoint, Ed Rankin, I know I said it before, he's not local now, but he has just done a great job of I can expect the pregame text, the halftime text, and the post-game call, regardless of the outcome. And like I said before, the guy breaks down film like he's being paid $1 million to do so. So those guys have played a major role in who I'm still becoming. I have lots of room for growth. I'm learning every day, about football, about life, about kids, about myself, and who I am as a father as well. So a lot of credit to those guys for, playing a major role and making a major impact in my life daily.
Coach, we appreciate your time. We don't want to keep it for too long. We know you got a busy day ahead of you and you're preparing for Girard tomorrow. But once again, thank you so much for the time. Good luck this week and good luck the rest of the season.
And thank you both for all the support, all the encouragement, man. You guys are crushing it. Keep it up.
Thanks, man. We're huge fans of you as well.
Absolutely.
So there he goes, Ant.
Brandon Hannon, the head coach of the Jefferson Falcons, who are red hot right now, rolling through their non-conference slate and going into NE8 play. And this is a Girard team. Last year, this was one of the NE8 games the Falcons really thought that they had chances to win, and they left them on the table. So this is one of those games I'm sure the kids have been looking forward to all off season long, because it's one of the NE8 opponents they know they had chances to win that game.
So when I interview coaches, I'm always just so enamored with who their mentors are, who their inspirations are. And I when you're in with Cusick and Yeagley and all of the coaches' corners that I do throughout the last 6 years, to be able to interview Coach Hannon, and I've been a fan from afar, to be able to interview him and ask him, who he relies on. And he says his pastor, other former coaches, and Ed Rankin, and he just goes down the list. I mean, how cool is it that the coaching tree continues to kind of grow around this area? And one thing I want to just clear up real quick: Jefferson is not on the moon. Like, people act like it's like this 7-hour journey. It's like right up 11. Like it's no further than a lot of these other places that people want to play. I mean, you've got teams that are playing Cleveland teams and playing, Toledo team. And then we're going to complain about playing Jefferson once a year.
That's what makes it crazy. But like I said, you talk to all the coaches in other sports, and they say that trip to Jefferson for some reason always makes our team flat. They just don't show. A lot of good teams have gone to Jefferson.
Maybe it has something to do with Jefferson and less about the drive. I don't know. I don't want to be that guy, but at some point you got to start going. Listen, we're playing in Cleveland. How are we complaining about Jefferson if we're going to get and go to the 216?
That team from Canada that's coming out of Canfield is like, oh yeah, you're complaining about going 40 minutes. We're coming across the country.
Do we ever have teams go to Canada to play?
I
don't know that answer. I feel like they're always coming down here. Do we have any teams that go to Canada and say?
I've never seen anyone go to Canada, and in fact, this is only the second time I can remember a Canada team coming down to play one of our teams, because I think Mooney did it a couple of years ago.
I remember I was on that call. As a matter of fact, Steve and I, and the only reason I remember it is because we were atop the home side bleachers before that other side was built. And I'm deathly afraid of heights. And I just remember, you want to talk about pretending like you're on the moon. Like I was hammered down, like clenched. Like Steve was like, "You all right?" No, I'm not. First off, I can't see the numbers. Secondly, I think I'm going to faint because I'm up 900,000 feet.
When you look at it, though, Jefferson, when you're talking about this team this year, I feel like even though they're in the same place they were last year with a 3-0 start, it just feels different. And I think Coach Hanna feels that way too. He said that the kids believe a little bit more. Last year, the coaches believed, but he thought the kids weren't there yet. This year, they both believe in themselves, and they both go onto a field expecting to win, not hoping to win.
I'll say, so some stats from 440 and goal, courtesy of them. Boys, shout out to you. Grant Hitchcock, 22 for 31, 445 yards, 7 touchdowns and interception. Oh, by the way, if you're looking for running, he's got 27 carries, 314 yards, and 7 touchdowns there too. So the Cats got 14 touchdowns through 3 weeks. Only Vinny Balone that I know of, right off the top of my head, has more.
That means 7 out of his 27 carries are touchdowns. That means almost 1/4 of the time that he's running the ball with the ball in his hands, he's getting to the end zone.
And these aren't quarterback sneaks, folks. These are, I mean, the kid's running for 445. Or, excuse me, I take that back. He's running for 314 yards. He's almost at 1,000 yards combined through 3 games.
And that offense has put up a lot of points, and they still have the most points by a YSN family school so far. In week 1 was 66. So they still hold that mantle, if that means anything to them. I don't know if it does. I know Coach Hanna knew that like 56 of those came in the first half, and he was happy to see that. So
I think it's a form of pride. I mean, that's a trophy that you or a badge, I guess, that you'd wear. I'd be okay with that. You know, if we're putting up points, we're putting up points. But
right.
Keep in mind, they're also keeping points off the board.
Right. Their defense is showing up. Edgewood came in with a really good offense. We've seen Edgewood before on YSN, and they played in close games against good teams. They beat Conneaut, who really impressed us in the last 2 weeks. They beat them in week 1. So Jefferson took that Edgewood team, and they kind of really held them down on defense and were able to score a lot of points on their defense.
Well, you're going to see that Edgewood team a lot more on YSN because they're now a member school. We have some announcements that are coming up. I believe we'll be releasing them tonight as the grand majority. Let me give you a little preview. The grand majority of Ashtabula County is now signed with YSN. When I say grand majority, I'm talking like 7 of 8, and that includes our friends over at Jefferson. And kudos to the 440 and goal guys, because this is something that they've been just hustling on and working. We're working on that 8th school. But here's the thing. Like I tell them, man, if they don't want us, that's fine. You know, we're not going to force our way in. We're at a situation where, you know, we have a ton of schools, a ton of coverage. While we want to do it for everybody, maybe it's not everybody's cup of tea.
Right. And, you know, sometimes, and we've seen it too, when other teams see it in their backyard, then it loosens the gates a little bit.
Yeah, when we're talking about the other kids, pretty pro, I would say, and if we're homers, we are what we are. It gets under the skin of some people, and they start wondering why we're not talking about their kids. Not that we're talking poorly about the other side. We just don't get as enthusiastic as the other side. So,
and I'm sure you've had a lot of conversations, because you've traveled with a lot of our teams with other teams as well that have that same boat, that say, how do we get into YSN? I know we've gotten a lot of messages. I think we got one last night. How do we get into YSN?
We did. And it's funny I mean, not funny. It's just ironic to watch, you know, and I was talking with Brian and some of the other guys about how interesting it is from the perspective of people that have been here, I mean, yourself included. Like, I think you can chime in on this.
Right.
When you're talking about YSN and how far our coverage has come. I mean, 372,800 views in the last 21 days. I remember when we were excited.
Our first year, right?
Well, yeah, our first year was 57,000 plus views. That was 2017, and you look at the last 21 days, and it's hard to believe, but while I'm excited for us, I'm more excited for these kids and these programs and these coaches and these communities, because that means that 372,800 views have been showcased for these kids. That means that people are seeing them, coaches, grandparents, fans, alumni, you name it, all make up that almost 400,000 page views in the last 21 days. And it's exciting because it means our kids are being seen, and that's the whole goal of this.
Yeah, and like when I came on, we had 8 schools. You know, I wasn't right at the beginning when we had 4, but we had 8. We had 8 schools when I came on, and now we're sitting at 50 plus. What's going to be
65 plus?
The official number is 65, but is it official? I mean, until we released it tonight, I didn't know what I didn't want to add the schools until we released it tonight.
We'll do an official count tonight, but I know it's 65 plus.
Okay.
Like it's like Disney plus.
And we've done that. We've done that in 4 years.
Yeah. That's crazy. That's crazy. But and people will sit and go, well, you know, why do you still do this team? Because it doesn't matter what the record is. That's not what we do. Like, we win when we cover everybody. We don't win when we just cover winners. You know, the postseason, that's what that's for. I mean, you see the coverage get a little bit more intense because we go from covering 65 teams to covering 30 teams to covering, 15 teams to covering 8 teams to covering 4 teams to covering 1 team. To me, that's the fun part of the year, but people get all bent out of shape because why didn't you do this for us? And why, we only have, if you look at it, we got 64, 65 part-time employees, 1099s, whatever you want to call them. And only a fraction of them do these games or do not the games, but they do these interviews. Yourself, myself, Steve Leslie, Richie Giuliano, you've got
Romo,
Anthony. I mean, a fraction. So when we have a fraction of the teams, it makes things a lot easier to get around. So.
Right, and we're gonna have Austin Klein, who we got a chance to talk to last year. He impressed enough last year in his first year as the quarterback, and he's just one-upping himself, which is hard to imagine. Austin, thank you so much for taking the time to join us.
Oh, I saw Siggy. I saw Josh Sigler for a second there. AC, don't let him steal your thunder.
Yeah.
To start out, man, you've had an excellent kind of go at it last year. We'll get to your stats in a little bit, but last year you were killed at 32 touchdowns, I think, total between your legs and your arm. And you've really stepped into a leadership role this year. And obviously not exactly where you want to be this point in the season record-wise, but you guys are turning it up. It feels like the Jets just came on for you. What clicked last week that you really noticed?
I think, we really needed to feel ourselves as a team, feel out, what our strong suits are. We came out and we played our 2 hardest games of the season, probably with Indian Valley and Salem back to back. So we were still, finding our footing and stuff, but I think we really clicked last week, offensively, defensively coming in, and we really took it to them.
Take us inside the locker room after week 2, because it's 2 tough losses, but excuse me, two tough losses, but like you said, 2 really good teams. So what were the conversations like inside the locker room, inside this team to keep them confident?
Yeah, it was, keep your head up. I mean, we faced the same adversity last year. We started off 0-2 and we came out and still had a great season. So that was mostly the talk in the locker room, that we need to keep our heads up and be resilient like we were last year and still come out and have a great season.
Talk about the challenge. Last week, you guys have a game, then you don't have a game, then you have a game. Obviously, people don't realize how much goes into film and preparation for that week, and you guys didn't have a whole lot of time to prepare, but you still got the game in, which is important because when it comes down to playoff, implications, you guys needed that game. I know your AD is not too far away from you there, but how important was it for you guys to get that game in and get the dub?
It was really important, especially because we didn't win any games before then, but we played a pretty good school from Columbus that's going to get some wins up there that will really help us for the playoffs. So, getting that game in, it was definitely challenging because we had to squeeze, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday practice into just Wednesday. But we came out and we were prepared and we were ready, and that's all there was.
DJ already threw out some numbers from last year's season, and you really impressed with what you put up. But great players know how to raise the bar every year. So what kind of goals did you set for yourself this season to raise that bar and say, I'm going to one up what I did a year ago?
I think I need to this year turn up. I think I need to control the ball a little better, because last year I turned it over a little more than I wanted to. I think I had 8 picks or something, but this year I really want to focus on keeping the ball safe and, getting drives consistently down the field.
Don't sell yourself short, young man. You only had 6 picks. So you had in 2021, you were 121 for 182 for over 2,000 yards, 20 touchdowns, 6 picks. Rushing, you had 95 carries, 572 yards, 12 tutties. And so far this year, and I don't know if you keep track of stats. You don't seem like the kind of guy that really cares that much as long as you get the dub.
Yeah.
You're 43 for 62, 692 yards, 7 touchdowns, 1 interception. And rushing, you've got 40 carries, 237 yards, and 3 touchdowns. What out of all of that, Austin, is the most fun for you to do? Are you okay, when you get to pull it down, you're more excited, or do you like slinging it around the yard a little bit?
I mean, I'll do either. It depends on. I like to take what the defense gives me. So if they give me the run, I'm definitely going to run it and try and run someone over because I just love doing that. But if they're coming at me hard and they leave people open, I'll throw it downfield too. So it really doesn't matter to me.
Are you going to run for mayor of East Liverpool with that answer? I mean, you absolutely just rode the fence on that. What's fun for you? Like, do you enjoy it? Okay, I'll put it in better perspective for you, AC. Ready? You're on the 1 yard line. The game's on the line. Do you want to run the ball in or pass the ball?
I think I'm at 1 yard line. I gotta go run. I gotta QB sneak this into the end zone.
I love it. I'll take it all day.
I mean, what goes through your mind when the coach calls a short yardage QB sneak? Because those can be, every time I watch a QB sneak, I'm like, man, they're putting themselves in a whole lot of trouble with bodies in there. What's going through your mind with QB sneaks?
Usually when we're on QB sneaks, it's either we're on the 1 or 2 yard line, or it's like a 4th and 2 or 4th and 1. So my main thing is put my head down, run people over, and get the first down or touchdown.
All right, I got to ask you, because we know Coach McKenzie very well through Michael and of course through YSN. Does he intimidate you as much as he intimidates me? Like, I am scared beyond belief. Like, have you seen him go off his rocker yet? And did it make you want to run away and hide?
He's actually a lot calmer and not as intimidating once you get to know him, and once he gets all he needs to loosen up a little bit. He's a little shy around new people, I think, but he's a great leader for us, and I think he's not very intimidating to me, at least. But
what's one of the qualities you've learned from Coach McKenzie that you've kind of either applied to your football career or in your daily life?
Definitely patience, because he has a lot of patience with some people, and he has a lot of patience just in general. And he talks real well, when he's doing interviews and stuff, he just flows off. So definitely patience and definitely composure, because I've never seen him really lose his cool. It's just, he's very composed.
We know as a quarterback, one of the most important parts of your job is building relationships with your teammates and building trust with them to do their job. So what I'm wondering is, who is the one teammate that you've gotten to know the most over this season, whether it be the off season, the summer workouts, and now the first couple of weeks of this season?
I think me and Caleb probably have had the best team chemistry and team relationship, because in the off season we were definitely putting a lot of work in together, going to a lot of camps like Pitt and West Virginia and all this stuff. And just overall, we were just in the off season, in the weight room, out on the field, throwing routes together. So definitely Caleb.
You can tell the chemistry is on point for you two as well. Off the field, we can see it as announcers and watching you guys each Friday night. All right, I got to ask. I mean, this is a pretty big game coming up. Beaver Local, East Liverpool, one of the OG rivalries here on the network. What does it mean to you when you play the team in blue?
Oh, it means a lot. It means intensity. It means physicality. It means touchdowns. It's probably the most fun out of any game you'll ever play, is playing your rival, especially East Liverpool at Beaver Local, because it's a huge rival. I mean, we don't like each other at all, and I don't plan on taking it easy.
You're opening up that new field over at East Liverpool. Are you trying to put that first dent in it, essentially, and try to touch every blade of grass on that field?
Mm-hmm. I want to score the first touchdown on that field ever. I want to get the first win on that field ever. I want to show them that I own that field.
That's probably never going to end up on a bulletin board. Just guessing. I can appreciate it, man. That is confidence. I'm sure Mason's coming up in a little bit. We'll make sure he understands that you want it.
Mm-hmm.
Have you gotten the sense through the community on what this game means? Being able to be a part of it a couple of years. Have you gotten some fans that are telling you, you got to win this game? Mm-hmm. Have you gotten a sense of how much it means to the community around you?
Mm-hmm. There's definitely been people talking to me about it and talking about it. So there's definitely a sense of urgency when it comes to this game. And, the nerves will be there, but, I'm going to come out and I'm going to be ready.
All right, let's get off the field for a little bit. What's the one spot that Austin Klein goes to kind of, well, let's talk grub first. From a grub standpoint, where you want to go eat?
I like Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A with Polynesian sauce with my 30 chicken nuggets. I love Chick-fil-A.
Polynesian sauce?
Yes, it is so good.
There's only one sauce at Chick-fil-A, AC, and that's Chick-fil-A sauce.
No.
No.
Chris Sigler says, describe the atmosphere in school during rivalry week.
What'd you say?
Describe the atmosphere in school during rivalry week.
It's definitely, there's a lot of tension and there's a lot of, people like ready to watch and a lot of people ready to play. You see the football players walking around pretty serious. We're not very we're pretty straight to the point and to the business. We're getting ready we're preparing our bodies. We're preparing mentally all week for this game because it's a big game.
We're sitting here on a Thursday heading into Friday. Take us through the typical game day for you and what the couple hours leading up to kickoff look like for you.
Usually, I'm getting my mind right, got my AirPods in, warming up, I got to mentally check in for any pressure. There's definitely going to be a lot of people there. You got to be able to zone all that out and just be ready to play.
What's the playlist look like?
Oh, I don't – anything. I mean, there's a lot.
There's not show tunes or something, right?
What?
There's no show tunes or anything like that. This is what would be the go-to music for you? 1-2 punch. Are you all over the place? Are we going to hear some Miley Cyrus? Are we going to hear Billy Ray Cyrus? Are we going to hear some Nelly? What are we hearing?
Mostly, I mean, I listen to "Lose Yourself" by Eminem, but I don't do a lot of. I don't listen to a lot of the girly stuff.
There's no country music.
No.
In Beaver Local, there's no country music. Something is off here.
Not for me, at least. I don't listen to country very often, but I'm sure some of my teammates do for sure.
All right, if you guys had a chance the locker room, typically somebody's in control of the music. Who would it be on the Beavers?
Our center, Zane McCoy. He plays all the music all the time in the weight room, in the locker room, on the field. I mean, he made our field play. He's the music guy for us. He's our hype man.
Most likely to become mayor of East Liverpool in your locker room.
Mayor of East Liverpool?
Yep.
I feel like maybe Noah Boyer, because Noah Boyer he's one of our linebackers. He's just a calm and composed and smart dude. I feel like he could definitely do that. Probably Noah.
Who's the biggest joker?
Joker? Oh no. A lot of them. Oh, I think I'm maybe Gabe Morgan. He's one of our fullbacks and linebackers. Gabe tends to crack everyone up all the time. Gabe's pretty funny.
Who's the guy that's most likely to have you guys run laps after practice for getting in trouble?
Oh, probably foot cramp. Jacob Blakely. He's one of our outside linebackers. He's a senior this year, and he tends to get yelled at a lot.
Did you call him foot cramp?
Oh yeah. So this is his freshman year. He during a game got a cramp in his foot, but then the day after they were lifting and he got a weight dropped on his foot and it broke. So ever since then, his name's been Foot Cramp, and that's just what we call him.
Is that the best nickname on the team?
Yeah, probably.
What's your nickname? What do people call you? What do you want to be called?
Everyone calls me Primetime.
Primetime.
I have it on the back of my helmet and everything. Primetime's my nickname. Primetime Klein. It rhymes. It's smooth.
I like it.
I think he just wrote our headline.
Oh gosh, here we go again. I think we go foot cramp. Yeah. We go that direction. Dude, thank you so much for spending time. Good luck this week and good luck throughout the season. You are so fun to watch each and every time you take the field. You are dude, you're a treasure. I mean, it's to be able to watch you, you are electrifying. So you can take prime time and put that to the side and you can be electric, Klein. How about that?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I can do that.
Thanks, AC. Appreciate you, man.
Thank you.
There you go.
Foot cramp.
Foot cramp. Listen, if I was in foot cramp, I don't know what I would do. That is a legit nickname that stuck with this cat for 4 years.
4 years.
I'd be
Doesn't go away.
It's one of those situations where you're probably telling people man, that foot cramp guy, that's a bad name because he should be the Mac Daddy or whatever it may what name your own, cast your own nickname. anything other than foot cramp. But you know that kid has embraced foot cramp,
Oh, yeah.
100%.
And he probably never had a foot cramp during a game again.
Well, he didn't tell anybody about it.
He didn't tell anybody. It's just,
there ain't no way you're telling somebody you got a foot cramp after that's your nickname. But Austin Klein, on all seriousness, I mean, that kid is electrifying when he takes the field. When last year, when we were at prime time, funny enough, we had Bob Beamer was the acting athletic director, and he said, "You got to watch this Austin Klein kid. He is the real deal." So we got to watch him a little bit in that practice, talk to Coach McKenzie about him, and he is. I mean, you talk about prime time. That cat is, every time he touches the field, people are watching him. They're watching him play. They're watching the way he acts, the way he reacts, the way he is on the sidelines. Kid is just a legit leader. So proud of him. And again, it's going to be fun to watch him, not just this week, but throughout the year, and see the greatness that kid possesses.
Well, he just casually threw out that he went to a couple of Power 5 camps over the summer. I mean, it was like it was nothing to it. Pitt, West Virginia. We just went to those camps. No big deal.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's one thing for camps, it's another for recruiting. You know what I mean? Like, people are going to see that and say, well, he's going to Pitt, or he's going to West Virginia, or he's going to, like, they're allowed to go there for camps,
right,
and not be recruited or have to, do that whole song and dance. Legit, this kid, if you've never seen him play, you have to watch him. Go back and watch the games on YSN. Trust me, it's worth the $2.99. Like grease lightning. The dude is John Travolta. He's electrifying.
And he is going to bring that electricity to the East Liverpool Potters on Friday. And like you said, they're opening Patterson Field, the new Patterson Field. And I love the confidence that he had talking about that too. Might have been some bulletin board material. Who knows? We'll talk to Mason in a little bit. We have Mason Ludwig coming on at 1 later today. We also have an interview with Tristan Valley that we're going to share with you guys as well, who has been leading the Middle Ridge Rams to a really impressive start.
Yeah, I mean, Ian Erb. It's nice to be able to throw to him a little bit, and to be able. I'm hoping you got a chance to talk to them, to Tristan, about kind of what it's like to spread it around the lot a little bit, because, I mean, Coach Shaner's got them believing, and not only do they have the best helmets in the entire area, but right now they've got one of the best teams in the entire area under those helmets. So I'm excited to hear from him and really see. You want to talk about another solid leader, and that young man. He's got a great future ahead of him.
And he really, I mean, his interview highlighted the strength of the Middle Ridge community, because they've just been welcoming. They've been immediately embracive of him and, his situation. And that's why he's been able to really be confident in his leadership ability the minute he took the ball under center.
Well, and I think he's got something to prove to everybody. And I think everybody, every time you take the pigskin as a quarterback, you got something you want to prove. And Tristan's no different. Austin will tell you the same thing. I mean, you can go up and down the roster. When a kid takes a snap, a quarterback's always kind of got that chip on their shoulder. I mean, to me, a quarterback should be the same way that pitchers and catchers should be in baseball, the same way that point guards should be in basketball. That is your biggest competitor on the floor at any time. And if it's not, you're going to have problems, because you want the guy that's dishing it out to be less about the ego and more about the job that's being performed. And again, we've been very fortunate. You look across the entire, all of these teams. And if they've got a kid like that under center, if they got a kid like that, running point, usually they're really good teams.
And the flip side of that is QB1 usually has the most pressure put on them. Probably the player that gets looked at the most when they're succeeding, and when they're not, probably still gets looked at the most by the outside, the fans and the media, so they have the most pressure on them too. And the ones that in our area really carry it really well.
The guy or gal that touches the ball the most is always going to have the most pressure, right? So when you're talking about, your setters in volleyball, you're talking about, again, your point guards, your pitchers, your catchers from that standpoint. I like how I added the catchers in there. When you're talking about a quarterback, these are pressure packed positions that require a little bit of not only durability, but mental toughness. You're going to have days or nights that are not going to go your way. How are you going to rebound from it? Not just the next game, but that particular game. I mean, if a drive doesn't go your way, if you throw a pick six, how is that quarterback going to respond? If you have a turnover in basketball, how are you going to respond as a point guard to set up things, for future successes down the floor? If you're a setter in volleyball and you get a double hit, how are you going to respond the next time? Are you going to let that linger, or are you going to, step up your game and make sure that you're leading by example? It really is why I love sports. People ping on me because I talk about leadership a lot with these kids and these coaches. But when you think about it, sports to me, and I would imagine a lot of people, that's where you first learn leadership and what it takes to lead, not only by example, but when nobody's watching. How are you going to lead yourself? Because if you can't lead yourself, you sure as heck aren't going to lead others.
Yeah, and the thing I've always been taught, and these kids are coachable kids too. And you can't lead unless you first know how to follow. You can't lead unless someone else leads you first. Discipleship is important. You have to have someone make you a disciple before you become a disciple. So these kids are very coachable. Like, they are willing to be taught and coached hard and pushed by the coaches that are in front of them.
Well, and there's, how do I explain this without offending? And I don't care. Here we go. In high school, you're coddled a little bit. Coaches can kind of drag you in and drag you along. They can be still the bus drivers, so to speak. But when you get to college, those coaches are not babysitting you. If you're not doing your schoolwork, they're not going to say, hey, you're not doing too well in this class right now. You need to pick it up. They're not going to make sure that you're at workouts. If you're not at workouts, you lose your spot. They're not going to make sure that you're, properly fueling your body and getting enough sleep at night. If you're out there till 2 a.m. partying and slugging down yoke wisers, they're like, it's going to show. And that's the biggest jump from high school to college, is there's still an opportunity to be, protected and coddled a little bit in high school. Whereas when you go to that next level, it's a job. You're expected to show up to work. You're expected to be prepared. You're expected to do things, where high school, you're being taught those things. And some kids have all the talent and they can absolutely slip by in high school on talent alone. But when they get to college, it's an eye-opening experience, because you have to work harder than everybody else. Big fish, small pond, to small fish, big pond.
Right.
They told me a long time ago that, and I witnessed it firsthand, you can be the best player on your team in high school, and you can be the best player in the region in high school, and you go to the next level and you're just one of the many, right? They take, in college, they pluck out the best from each region and they give them scholarships or they give them opportunities. It's completely different. And kids like Austin, Klein, and kids so many around this area have opportunities. But are they going to take it and run with it? Are they going to see these opportunities as what they've earned, or just another step towards what they can become? And I think there's a major difference.
And that transition from high school to college is true for everybody, not just athletes. I mean, that's the biggest thing I struggled with when I started college, is all of a sudden the teachers aren't saying, hey, you better turn this in on time. They don't care. They're just like, hey, either show up for class, I'm going to teach. If you show up, great. If you don't, hey, I'm still teaching. You just have to show up for your test. Like, there's no one that is putting their arm around your shoulder saying, I'm going to help you succeed anymore. As far as the establishment, the professors, they're there to do their job, and you're kind of there to do your job in the classroom. And that was one of the biggest things that, I myself struggle with in the first couple months of college, is you almost have to be even more self-motivated than you were in high school.
It's a professional setting. And if you're not going to be professional, then you don't probably belong at college. Like, why are you going to college in the first place? Why are you going to university in the first place if you're not trying to become professional? Like, you go to a job interview, nobody's going to sit there and be like, well, you didn't really say what I wanted you to say, but why don't you say this instead? Let me give you another shot. No, if you sit there and you blast the company, like, my favorite question is always like, what do you think we can do better? Who in their right mind sits there and just opens it? Well, let me tell you, opens up the book of, well, you don't do this well. You don't do this well. You don't do, like, you have to learn how to become a professional. And,
right.
Some people from a sports aspect It's like the minor leagues. When you talk about, Division I, it's the minor leagues because, you're one step away from playing on Sunday in football. You're one step away from being a professional basketball player in women's or men's, from that standpoint. Baseball, it's a little different. I think we all know that. And college softball is basically professional softball at this point. So, if you're not looking to be a professional, then you probably shouldn't go to college. You shouldn't play at college. You shouldn't try to go and get a degree in college. From that standpoint, I hope that our sponsors don't beat us up, but it's true. I don't think they want to necessarily fail people because then their graduation rate goes down. They want people that are good fits and people that are there to do a job, to do it well at a very high level, and then move on. And if you're not there to do that, then you probably shouldn't waste your money.
Let's hear from some of those sponsors because we have a lot more on this show to get to. And when 1 o'clock comes around, we're going to have Mason Ludwig. We also have the interview with Tristan Valley, and we have much more on Running Point after this break, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
21 News delivers the news as it happens, using the latest technology from where it happens.
Live here outside the Mahoney County.
On air, online,
Wednesday afternoon weather update.
Very dangerous.
and on the 21 News social media platforms.
I'm on the road right now.
21 News, the Valley's only locally owned source for trusted news since 1953.
As fine as the eye can see, the finest hardwoods from the finest trees. Made for your home and within your means, Baird Brothers will help fulfill your dreams. Let life and light come shining through in quiet morns. And heavy traffic, too. Find your easy-to-afford fine hardwood floors and doors and more at BairdBrothers.com.
Every customer has a story, and at Greenwood Chevrolet, we are committed to making sure it ends with you in the right vehicle. I get to be part of somebody's adventure, whether it's buying a car for the first time, helping them get approved, or finding the perfect car for their budget. I'm proud that people trust me with their finances. They trust me to take care of them, and they trust me with their story. I'm Tracy, and I'm ready to go the extra mile for you, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Locally owned and operated, Sheely's relaxed shopping experience means browsing and lounging is always encouraged.
Find Flex Deal and more at Sheely's Furniture and Appliance, because the best things in life happen at home.
How lucky are we to have not one, but two 18-hole Donald Ross Championship golf courses right here in our backyards. Mill Creek Golf Course was selected by Golf Week as one of America's 30 best municipal courses, continuing to challenge golfers of all levels and featuring golf instruction by PGA professionals, a state-of-the-art practice range, a PGA of America recognized pro shop, kids programs, and a relaxing grill room for a memorable golf experience. For more information or to schedule a tee time, visit millcreekmetroparks.org.
Fall is in the air. The kids are back to school, crowds are cheering for the home team, and Myers Family Insurance is prepped for another crazy Medicare season. Every year there's changes, some big, some small, so it's important to have a conversation to make sure your plan is going to meet your expectations for the coming year. Give our team a call today to schedule your annual review.
For all your Medicare needs, call Myers Family Insurance or visit us on the web. Check us out online at MyersFamilyINS.com.
Going from mindful to mindful sometimes requires a helping, healing hand. Insight Clinical Counseling and Wellness offers a continuum of mental health and wellness care. At Insight, we're changing the way you receive counseling and wellness services with experienced licensed clinicians and expertly trained wellness staff. With 4 locations in Mahoning and Columbiana County, along with telehealth services, Insight offers clients quick access to care when they need it. Transform your mental health and wellness at Insight Clinical Counseling and Wellness.
Welcome back to Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Thursday episode with you, Anthony Hartwig alongside DJ Oakley as we continue into the week. And Friday is tomorrow, of course, and Friday is always the big night with a bunch of football. And we have the last day of the week for volleyball today, and then we're gonna have a lot of fun. DJ, when you look at some of the things that happened last night, one big result that came in was from the soccer field. Mooney's boys soccer team beats Howland, who was previously undefeated, and we all know how good that Howland soccer program is. 1-0, big victory for the Cardinals.
Huge. And, you know, it's one of those times where, you know, are we seeing the passing of the torch? I'm sure Howland's sitting there shaking their head saying no. But Mooney has to say otherwise at this point. You have to believe because, you know, I've heard really good things about their soccer program over there, not only turning the corner, but this is a signature win, as they say, as they move forward. Now you just got to make sure that you can maintain this level. I mean, when you beat a team like Howland, it is that one win, that one brick in the wall that you just look at a little bit different than all the other ones. And you don't want to get too full of yourself, but you certainly don't want to let people not know that you did it. You know what I mean? But congratulations to Mooney, and I'm sure Howland will be back with a force.
Yeah, and the good thing for both those teams, I think they're thinking that they live in different waters for tournaments because Howland is able to go in that Division II tournament, and they've been dominating it for the last couple of years, and Mooney gets into the Division III. And you look at Mooney's schedule, it is not the only test that they have on their slate. They still have Western Reserve Academy, CVCA. They put together a very tough schedule like they always do. And we'll continue to watch their soccer program that is looking to get back to the state championship game. They were there 2 years ago. They lost their Crestview last year in overtime in the tournament, so they're looking to get back. Someone that is not looking to get back, but looking to get into it next week, tomorrow, against Beaver Local, Mason Ludwig from East Liverpool joining us. And
yeah, a little bit of technical difficulties. It looks like Mace. I don't know if you can see us, but we're having a hard time. It's black on your screen. There he is.
Mason, can you see us? Can you hear us?
Yep.
I think he was outside, so he might not have greatest.
I think he's joining us, if I'm not mistaken, from the brand new turf at Patterson Field. So I'm interested. I've seen what it looks like. Jimmy Joe Savage has given us awesome pictures and things of that nature. But I'm interested to see how he feels being able to be the first class at ELHS to step on that field. I'm sure he might be on it right now. But one of those teams that is kind of breaking ground, no pun intended, with a beautiful setup. I mean, that watermelon turf, it's pretty, and that blue just pops right off of it.
I think he's going to try to join us from a different device. Let's see if we can get him in now.
Thought we had him. Base, can you hear us? Can you hear us, Mason? He's a little bit spotty. All right, let's try this again. This is welcome to flying without the net.
Right. That's live streaming. Sometimes you're just going to have issues with connection. It's happened before. It'll happen again for sure.
All right. So without kind of diving down the technical difficulty route, it's one of those things where when you have a new opportunity like East Liverpool has, obviously the season has not gone their way to this point. However, can something like this, something like having a brand new quote unquote field, give you the shot in the arm that you need to go where you want to go? I mean, what's your take on that, Ant?
I think one of the greatest things about it is it shows that the community, the administration, and the backers, boosters, whoever's giving money for this field, they believe in the program enough to say, here's a new gift, here's a toy, here's a new sandbox to play in. And that's got to give that's got to give the players, the coaches, everyone in the program kind of confidence in the world to say, hey, there are people backing us. We have people that are full-heartedly believing in us, not just to succeed, but not to succeed on the field, but to succeed in life. And that's why they're giving us this. So let's back that up. And I think that's something that anytime a team gets new uniforms, a new field, a new facility, whatever it may be, it almost gives them a new energy. We've seen it before.
Well, uniforms they actually have to get. They're contracted that they have to get like every 5 years or something like that. I think in most schools.
But some schools just go the extra mile and get them really nice uniforms, and you can tell that they've kind of put some energy into making those kids look good and feel good.
Absolutely. And you look at kind of the East Palestine uniforms that the middle school has now. I mean, they've got they're sharp, very, very sharp. And, I think the varsity is due for them in the coming year, if I'm not mistaken. But when you have some new gear, it's a new swagger. You feel good. Like we talked to Coach Hannah, you feel good, look good, play good. And a lot of these teams are showcasing that. It's one of those. It's not to cure all. Like, don't go buy uniforms thinking that you're just going to win because you got some new threads. And I think that's the same with the field. Is when you look at, when we started, and East Liverpool was one of the first ones to adopt YSN. I asked them why they didn't have turf yet, and this is before all the rage, right? And one of the answers that I got was there's a fear because it's literally right next to the river that it would flood because it's flooded before. I think people feel good enough knowing that hasn't happened for some time. Fingers crossed, knock on wood. It's not going to happen again because that field is absolutely gorgeous. However, also if it does, and I'm not a field specialist or play one on TV, but that turf will dry out. You know what I mean? Right. And as long as it's still on the field and you can always put it back down, it's almost like a rug. You can pick it up and shake it off and put it back down. But it's the I don't even call it the pebbling. It's those little black specks, those little rubber pellets that I think is the big fear. Because especially first weeks of new fields, it hasn't settled yet. So you're going to see a lot of toe drag swag tonight. And when you see it, you'll probably be able to see it on the broadcast because you'll just see almost a wake of black pellets right behind whoever is dragging those toes.
And East Liverpool is probably pretty happy that the worst of the weather on Tuesday stayed up north, or was that Monday night? I think it was Monday night, Sunday night. When we had those I think it was actually Sunday night, but we had those monsoons kind of come through into our area, some tornado warnings. I think East Liverpool was kind of happy that the worst of it kind of stayed up north because right before your game, you get a monsoon to come into East Liverpool. That would have been, just a heartbreaker.
It would have been a gut punch for sure. And when you think about that stuff, East Liverpool's already been through so much, from a standpoint of, kind of trying to fight back into the limelight. And I know the superintendent, Jonathan Ludwig, Mason's dad, has done an excellent job of promoting the school and promoting everything that is East Liverpool. And now we get to talk to him. Hopefully we got a better connection. Mace, can you hear us?
That's better.
Awesome. So we're going to try this out. We'll see how it goes. But Mason Ludwig of the East Liverpool Potters, soon to be the Toledo Rockets. Nate's, it's been a kind of a up and down season for you guys this year, but we're just talking about the turf. How cool is it for you to be one of the first classes, if not, well, the first class of Potters to utilize this brand new turf on East Liverpool?
Yeah, it's an awesome experience for all of our kids. It's something that our whole community, I feel like, needs. As of soccer, I mean, anybody can use it. Soccer, baseball, football. I feel like it's something that's really going to help our athletics as well.
What's it mean to you that the administration and the community have kind of showed their support with this new field? And is it an added bonus to know that they back you enough to kind of give you this new field?
Yeah, it really means a lot to all of our kids. It shows how much they really care about us and are trying to get things that we need in the school district.
All right, let's get right down to the brass tacks of it, Mace. I mean, you guys have a big game coming up tomorrow night against some guys you really don't like too much. It's red versus blue. Is it one of those games? Everybody talks about it from a standpoint of if you have one game that you want to win all season, is this that game?
Yeah, this game means the most to our whole team, and I mean it's one of the biggest rivalries around. It's you win this game, you have a pretty decent season. Like this game means a lot to all of us.
That being said, what kind of conversations have been had in the locker room to try to keep the team even and as much as possible try to treat it as another game and prep it like it's another game and not get too high in the emotions of rivalry week?
Yeah, I've been a leader, and I'm just trying to keep everybody level-headed and focus on more of football and being ready for what we need to be ready instead of worrying about other things and getting involved in stuff shouldn't be really worried about.
Mesa, I don't know if you caught it, but we officially have our first big man win Big Dog of the Valley last week in West Branch. That opens up the doors for you, man. You've had more pancakes than IHOP this year, I think. When you're thinking about stuff like that, your impact as an offensive lineman, defensive lineman in a game, it's a lot different than being a ball carrier or a receiver, a quarterback. How do you kind of look at it and kind of motivate yourself each week to make the biggest impact that you possibly can?
I just try to take myself as one offensive lineman and do as much as I can to help my backfield and help everybody else. But also I try to take my whole line, take them on my shoulder, on my back, and just take them and try to lead the way. Instead of one, that's all five for our backfield.
Yeah, and we know offensive linemen have to be a unit. They have to work together and in sync to be a good unit. What's the relationship like with those guys in the offensive line room, and what kind of dynamic have you built with your brothers on the offensive line?
Could you repeat that real quick? I tried to connect my AirPods, but it wasn't working. It's loud background.
You got it. We know that offensive linemen have to be, in sync and together and work as a group. So talk about the relationship with your offensive linemen and what the dynamic with them is like.
Yeah, we're all really close with each other. But we always say your lineman got to be the closest and have the best bond on the team. You always got to be on the same page.
What are some of the things that you have to do mentally to prepare yourself? Because I think everybody knows, Mason, that you're going to be double teamed each and every week. How do you kind of motivate yourself to know and get yourself mentally prepared to say, okay, I've got to take on twice the load most of these plays that everybody else does?
Yeah, I really just fight through it. I just put a thought in my head of that I'm going to get through this and that nobody's going to beat me and that I'm going to do what I have to do.
We get told by so many people what a great leader you are. If you had to describe your leadership qualities, what would you describe them as?
I feel like I'm a very good leader for many different reasons, on and off the field, mainly off the field. You guys set a good example by doing the right things off the field, such as in the locker room, not even on a football field, away from the football field, around other people. I feel like that really sets the tone of being a really good leader.
You guys are competitive as it comes in the Ludwig family. I saw your sisters tearing it up at the next level in volleyball. Do you guys have a little bit of a competition going about who can kind of put together the most headlines this year?
Not really. We both just want to get at it and do the best things that we can do and just make everybody in our family proud.
I got to imagine family game nights get rough for you guys.
We're a very competitive family all around, from my parents and all my grandparents, my aunts and uncles. I mean, all my cousins. It gets pretty serious.
What's the go-to game on family game night for you guys?
Oh, that's a good question. One of my favorites would probably be Uno, just some basic Uno.
Basic Uno. I dig it. All right. This is going to be a weird situation for you. You were coached by your uncle for the last 3 years. This year, he's going to be on the opposing sidelines. Are you going to talk to him prior to the game, or are you going to? I mean, is it going to be one of those kind of like acknowledgments, or is it going to be the same as it's been? As you're You're Mason, the nephew. He's your uncle, and you're going to give him love before the game and after the game.
I talk to him every day for a long period of time. I see him a lot, so we're still really close. It's just he's not my coach anymore, but we still talk football. We still talk about things like that. So we'll talk. It's not anything that different, really.
Is he going to try to slip into some pads on Friday and try to go one-on-one against you?
Oh, he probably could. There was a time last year that almost happened.
Who wins? Who would win that?
What was that?
Who would win?
It's a good question. Probably me.
I would hope you would vote for yourself, Mace.
Yeah.
When you think about your teammates and the brotherhood that you've built with them, what makes this East Liverpool team this year unique from other teams?
We have a young team that has smart players. They're young, though. That's our main thing right now. We just got to keep developing as a team, becoming one, and I feel like we're a very physical team. That's one thing that sticks out. That's something that we could really key on, is just being physical.
From your standpoint, it's going to be a lot different next year, but are you keeping your eyes open this year on MAC Thursdays to be able to watch some of these teams that you're going to be splitting the field with next year?
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm really excited about Toledo and heading there next year, but I've watched a little bit. I'm actually heading up to Toledo on Saturday, so I'll be at their game on Saturday.
How much of a relief has it been this year to know where you're going and to not have to worry about, recruiting and all that, and just focus on your senior season?
Yeah, it's a big relief. I don't have to worry about this text message, that text message, calling people. It's really just focusing on a few people and having to just keep on building a relationship with those people.
All right, so you got to clear something up for us. I've heard and confirmed with many that, especially on the rivalry week or the game week, a lot of people from East Liverpool do not wear anything, and I mean anything, the color red. Is this true?
That is very well true. You don't see much red at all, really, ever. And you like at school, like say you're just walking around, you don't really ever see much red. But definitely this week, if you wear red, you're not in a good position.
Tough week to be a Buckeye fan, then, huh?
Ugh.
Yeah. I couldn't tell you if I really had anything red in my closet.
No kidding. You have nothing red?
Maybe a few, maybe Ohio State shirt, but that's about it.
Okay, I can respect that.
Good thing Toledo is blue and yellow.
Yeah.
Is it yellow or gold? It's gold.
Gold.
Right?
Gold.
Yeah. You don't mess up that yellow. I mean, that's a bad thing. Mace, we appreciate you as always, man. We are looking for. Oh, before we let you go, I have to tell you, Austin Klein was just on, and he did say that he's looking forward to having the first touchdown, the first win, and to being on every blade of grass you guys have on that new synthetic turf. What do you say to that?
Yeah, well, I'm not a big talker. I kind of just let it happen on the field, so I'm not going to sit here and talk. There's no reason to do that.
I can appreciate that, man. Thank you so much for your time. Good luck tomorrow. And as always, if you need anything, we're here for you, brother.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mason. There he goes. Mason Ludwig. Legend. I mean, this is a guy I talk about Thursdays because that's MACtion, right? But yeah, they do play on Saturdays as well. And I just wanted to make sure, clarify for people, because they're like, Thursdays? What the hell is DJ talking about? MACtion is that's when the MAC gets their most, I think, eyes on their product. And Mason Ludwig is going to be a part of that product in Toledo next year. So I'm excited to see it, but more excited. You could tell he was a little bit, that last question, he was like, oh man, he's gritting his teeth a little bit.
He made the right answer. But I think there might be some internal off the air conversations.
He's doing push-ups right now.
Right.
Like he's ready to go on that new turf. He is doing push-ups on that new turf and ready to rock and roll. It's going to be a bloodbath tomorrow. Hopefully not really, but it's going to be a fun game to watch. As Beaver Local opened their turf, was it last year?
Yes.
And then East Liverpool this year, and it's East Liverpool as a whole. And if you don't know, that's two schools that share one zip code.
Right.
Siggy will tell you it's Calcutta. It is not Calcutta. It's not. It is East Liverpool. It's the zip code. And there's so many. What's funny is there's so many kind of crossovers between East Liverpool and Beaver Local that unless you're part of that storyline, like Siggy can tell me every person that is from Beaver Local that has a parent that went to East Liverpool and vice versa. Like it's absolutely bananas. And then you got Tommy Pease that's got, I think, a kid in both districts, if I'm not mistaken. So
that's going to be a divided household.
And Tommy's the one I heard it from because we have, I mean, our colors are red, white, and blue.
Right.
And Tommy says, do you have anything that's just blue? I said, no, because our colors, Tommy, are red, white, and blue. Well, I can't wear that hat then. I said, why? Well, it's got red in it. It has, like, the S was red. That was it. That was it. And I was like, okay, then you don't have to wear the hat. It's true. And I wanted to confirm that with Mason because people in Beaver Local will not wear blue, just as people in East Liverpool will not wear red. And here we are, and we'll wear them both.
We're wearing both. You are wearing them both. You got some red in that jersey. I know it's mainly blue, but the Bills have some red in there.
Oh, the Bills are, I mean, they are red, white, and blue.
Right. So
I will buy any jersey that is red, white, and blue. I'll let you know that right now.
Let's see. Patriots, Rangers in the hockey.
Are you really going to
I just wanted to see which ones would pop in my head real quick.
There's a lot of them because
There's a lot
that's
of them.
America's colors.
Exactly. And even some teams I think that don't have it anymore had them as throwbacks too.
Would love to hear an argument on a better rivalry in the YSN area. Well, my friend.
Well, I think we're all biased with the schools that we went to.
Yeah. Well,
I would say Springfield South Range. You would probably say EP Columbiana.
I would not say EP Columbiana.
Is it Lisbon? I thought it was Columbiana.
It really is Columbia. It used to be Crestview.
Okay.
Like when I was in school, it was Crestview. We had some Columbiana stuff. But again, this is going to sound really bad. Are you ready? East Palestine's like Notre Dame in the fact that we have 17 rivals because everybody hates us. That's how it was. I mean, not that we were great by any means, but people just don't like kids from East Palestine. I don't know what it is. It's like an MO thing. I don't know. Don't know. But I mean, I think East Liverpool versus Beaver Local is up there, but I think that's
Ysn Mooney.
I don't know. Like
Holy War. I mean, when you have a name for it and call it the Holy War.
Well, they call it the game. And I think that there's, and then not that there's anything wrong with that, but that's Ohio State, Michigan. Right. That's the game. But has it lost its luster a little bit? I don't know. You know, if you ask them, not at all. But I think all rivalries kind of lose their luster. The only one that, again, you already said it, Ysn Mooney, that's the one game that it doesn't matter what your record is. I remember when Ysn had one win maybe going into that week 10 and they ended up beating Mooney. Steve and I were on the call a few years ago, and that was like the game. It was legitimate. And Mooney should have, if you listen to all the pundits, they should have rolled Ysn, and Ysn walked away with the dub, and that was a big win for the program and Dan Reardon and the whole kit and caboodle. So I don't know. Like Crestview Columbiana was always good. Yep. That rivalry doesn't exist anymore.
When I was going to school, not only did we have Springfield, but it was also South Range Crestview because both those football programs were just at the peak when I was in high school.
Well, South Range, it thinks that they're rivals with everybody. Again, they're another Notre
For me,
Dame.
it was Springfield. Like that's
Bull
the
and Canfield.
It was Pole and Canfield battle of 224. That's a good one.
There's battle 84 going on tomorrow night on with the 440 and goal guys with who that's
we got introduced
Lakeside and Geneva.
We got introduced to the Headley Cup last year with Jefferson Edgewood. You know, that's one that's taken seriously up there in Ashtabula County too. That we're kind of getting even more exposure with.
I mean, I think that South Range and again, South Range and everybody.
Western Reserve has the traveling trophy with Jackson Milton. And I think Waterloo and Sebring have a traveling trophy too. And
I hear Sigler in my head right now. Yeah, but does anybody have? And he might be right, but I would put Poland Canfield, Ysn Mooney at 1 and 1A, and however order you want it. And I think the thing is when you're in Columbiana County, you're probably right. That's probably the matchup, right? United's got some. Southern and Wellsville.
Yeah, well, they don't like each other.
That is rough. But Beaver Local East Liverpool, listen, it's just pretty, right? Blue versus red. That's how it's always going to be. I was at Columbiana and Jackson Milton last night. It's aesthetically pleasing to the camera. It's aesthetically pleasing to the crowd because those are the colors that you always, when you're doing generic graphics, they're always against each other. So
you had an exciting game last night too. Columbiana 1-5.
It was awesome. I get lucky sometimes, but it didn't look good early for the Lady Clippers. Lady Jays looked like they were locked in. I think Coach Martin has she's outstanding from what she does. She always has a plan. She never kind of goes away from it. She always, doesn't mean she doesn't adjust it, but she knows what she has. And there's some big hitters for Columbiana, which is why they've only lost one game to this point. And Jackson Milton, they had the lead 2-1. Columbiana comes all the way back and wins it in 5. And I was really excited to see that Columbiana was amped up that we were there, and they were amped up that I saw the call was already shared on our social medias and like I got to figure out who did it because it's got like everything I say in subtitles, but like really cool subtitles. I don't know if you saw that one.
I don't think I think I saw it pop up, but I never hit play yet, so I have to go back and watch it.
Of course, Anthony. Think for yourself.
I just scrolled past it.
Think for yourself. It doesn't have anything to do with Anthony. We're just scrolling right by it.
That's not true.
I know.
But you got a chance to see Ellie Jackson for Columbiana, who is one of the only girls so far this season to have a triple-double. She had that last week. What a well-rounded volleyball player.
She's special. That's for sure. I mean, she can do anything on the floor. And on the other side, you got Mia Greco and right. I think Paige Grope, who's going for 1,000.
Close to 1,000. Yep. We have 2 setters in the YSN family that are close to 1,000 with Kincaid from Canfield too.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a big accomplishment. She should accomplish that tonight. So, we'll make sure that we have the write-up for that. And again, volleyball is my favorite sport to announce. It really is. It's so fast and it changes every serve. And, people don't believe me when I say that. I feel like I say it enough that people should finally just be like, okay, we get it. All right, stop saying it. But like baseball is my favorite sport, but volleyball is by far my favorite sport to announce. It's so action packed. And I feel like Anthony, that people are starting to figure that out because we've had a lot more volleyball games this year than we have in the past.
You were we won't name you names, but you were on a call yesterday with one of our announcers while I was in the office, and he said, "Oh my gosh, volleyball is my favorite sport now." He's getting to it. People are getting it. It's quick. It's fast paced.
It's fun. It's exciting. And with boys volleyball coming next year, look out.
2023, and we've had a couple of schools in the YSN family that have already said that they're in. So far, Ursuline, Howland. And I think there's one more.
I would not be surprised in the least to see a team from Beaver Local or Wellsville.
Howland, Ursuline, and Southern, which that Southern kind of. But Howland, Ursuline, and Southern have already signed up for it so far. Spring 2023, it's coming.
Coach Shansky, without a doubt, is stirring it up down there in Southern.
Mm-hmm. I think it's spring. It's going to be a spring sport, which means on those days where the weather doesn't cooperate with baseball, softball, there will still be action in the valley. There will still be something that people can go and watch, which I think is cool.
I didn't know about that. That is going to be, oh boy, that could hurt. That could hurt baseball. I really think it will. I think anything that you add to, because you're not going to get the football players,
right?
I don't think, to play volleyball, at least the vast majority of them, because they're going to be running track and prepping. You're going to get some baseball players is what you're going to get. So the baseball is, again, I don't want to be that guy that, woe is us, but baseball is probably going to take a hit from the numbers perspective for boys volleyball. But how are they going to get these officials?
I don't know. Like, we're already in it. Do they just say, hey, the guys and girls that officiate volleyball in the fall will just move to boys volleyball in the spring?
But some of them are umpires as well.
Right. You might have to have those volunteer line judges that some schools still do.
Oh, yeah, we do that. We do that in East Palestine. Siggy says, or do the athletes play both when they can? Happens a lot of small. But here's the thing, Siggy, if you got a game on Wednesday and you got two games that are scheduled, which one gets canceled?
Now we see softball, baseball players also do track, but it's a little bit different because there's not a whole lot of conflicting with track and softball, baseball, because track's usually big meets on Saturdays. You can go do your softball game and then get to a meet, or vice versa. It might be a little bit different with a volleyball schedule, that if boys volleyball is set up like girls volleyball, it's going to be trying to fit a lot of games into a small period of time.
If I'm not mistaken, you still have to pick a primary.
Right, you do.
So if you pick baseball and end up going to a volleyball game, or volleyball match, you'll have to flip that. You know what I mean? Like, something's not going to end well. Like, these... Smaller schools should not be eligible for this. And I know that's not fair. People are going to say, well, our school, here's the reasoning, is you're having tough enough time putting teams on the field or on the court in the first place. Why add another sport that is going to detract from that instead of just replacing the sport? Now, here's the interesting part. If you don't have a sport at a school, a member of your school can go to another community, another school that is neighboring,
right,
and be a part of that team.
Right.
Why wouldn't you just do that? Like, to me, that makes a lot of sense. So, okay, we're not going to have a boys volleyball team in East Palestine, but you can go to Columbiana, Crestview, wherever that does, per se, right? This isn't just an example. And then you could play both sports.
Right.
But then that's kind of what we talked about before, is that co-op, right? Because then it starts the domino starts falling. And, hey, this is kind of nice. We're playing with people that we've never played with before. We're pretty good together. Maybe. But I know this much. The open enrollment demons are going to be watching, because maybe then it turns into, well, I like it over here a little bit better. I'm going to go to school here. That's what everybody's afraid of. And that's the 800-pound gorilla sitting in the corner of the room.
Do you think those type of conversations were had before schools signed on with the OHSA to say we're going to do boys volleyball daily? Do you think there were conversations with the baseball coach or preliminary polls with players to say who would be interested in playing boys volleyball? Do we have enough interested boys to even field the team if we said we're in?
From the school side or from the OHSA side?
From the school side, like this percent, like Southern says we're going to be in. Do you think they've already had conversations within their school system, trying to figure out how many boys are interested in playing volleyball? Or do you think they just said, let's do it and we'll build the volleyball team?
Well, Southern's in a very interesting spot because they have a really good coach who is their athletic director. They also have a really nice baseball field down there. So I think this is an opportunity for Southern, it was Howland and Ursuline, you said?
Howland, Ursuline, and Southern are the three that have signed on so far.
Isn't that interesting that one's in Trumbull, one's in Mahoning, and one's in Columbiana? That's really interesting to me, because you might see that. And you might see people, hey, I'm going to go play for the Southern boys volleyball team, or I'm going to go play for Ursuline boys volleyball team because, our school doesn't offer it.
Right. Southern might be the Columbiana County team with a couple of students from other schools.
That would be, I'm not going to lie, that'd be pretty sweet. Because then you just play, you play each other. We see it all the time that you have those tri matches, and those are fun. And let's be honest, I could be way off here, but I think it's going to take a while to get the sport to where it is good. You know what I mean? Like, these guys have not played before. It's going to take a while for them to get accustomed to the actual game. I mean, you're starting a program from scratch. I mean, if you've ever seen We Are Marshall, a different scenario, but same concept is you've got to get these kids starting a new program, and it's going to hurt for a little bit. It's not going to be aesthetically pleasing all the time. And probably I would venture that some of these girls teams could beat the boys team when they start out, but that won't always be the case.
And I don't know how many hidden gems you're going to find in these school systems that, like, boys volleyball players that have been playing at the Y are gearing their volleyball, skills, and there's still men's club volleyball that you could go play if if your high school doesn't have it. But I don't know how many guys you're going to find in your school system that are, going out and doing that and being able to step onto your program and say, I already know everything that I need to know to make this program good.
I would be willing to bet that less than 5% of male athletes in high school have played organized volleyball outside of gym.
Right.
Like, they're not signing up at the Y. They're not doing this. You'll have a few that maybe have done it. But it's going to be interesting, Ant, because I think baseball programs are going to suffer. Track programs might even suffer from that standpoint, because if you're a volleyball coach and you will walk over to the high jump and you see this kid jumping over 6 foot, 6.5 feet, you go, hey, how would you like to stay on this side of the net and just jump out of the gym and spike some volleyballs?
Right.
Schools may adopt it as a club sport initially to gauge interest. I got to be honest. I can't imagine club sports are that appealing to varsity athletes.
That's how soccer started. I mean, there were a lot of club soccer teams. I know South Range, back when I was in high school, it was just a club team. So sometimes that's how you start a program.
Soccer is different to me, though, because people are raised playing soccer.
That's true.
And again, if we start a boys volleyball program at 5U, then I think you can grow the sport. But how many community programs are going to do that outside of those 3 communities that you mentioned? I would love to see it. I would love to see it. I would have played volleyball. I can't say over baseball, but I would have played volleyball if it was a fall sport over football. That's right. And I'm little. Like, I'm a small dude.
You good libero.
Don't limit my judge me not by my size, but my actions, young man. I don't know. Like, I just think that it's going to be an interesting thing that happens, that a lot of people are excited because they're adding sports, but have we done our due diligence and what could this lead to? Because it could flop. And then this gives the OHSA the ability to go, yeah, we're not adding any more sports. So,
like you said, there are some schools that are already struggling to put teams on the field. It's like, why would you try to add another sport to that equation?
If there is not enough for kids to do in this day and age, I don't know. I don't know what else you can do. I mean, there are so many distractions, and not that sports is a distraction, but it is. Because if you're laser focused on baseball, think about this from a perspective of, if you're a baseball player or a parent of a baseball player and you're paying for lessons and things of that nature, and then all of a sudden this comes along and your kid goes, yeah, I want to play volleyball. You're sitting there, you're going, what? And you want to support your kids,
right?
In all that they do.
Poured a lot of money into your baseball.
Yeah, we just paid for basically a year of college for you to be a baseball or softball, whatever player, and now you're going to go do something. What's the girl sport that's coming? Wrestling.
It's going to be a sanctioned sport now,
and now it's going to be, and that's a winter sport,
right?
See,
all they're doing, because girls already wrestled, so all the OHSA is doing with that is saying now there's going to be an OHSA girls.
Now they're going to monetize it. Is what you're saying,
right?
They should have to be in the same season. They should have to be in the same season. I'm sorry, like you shouldn't be able to add wrestling in the winter and then volleyball in the spring. That's silly to me.
Do you think you could fit another gym sport into the winter, though? With basketball and basketball?
You can do it with women's or with girls.
And wrestling uses gym too.
You can do it with girls wrestling. Why can't you do it with volleyball?
Well, I mean, girls wrestling is just going to be what it always was. Like, you're not changing anything. You're just saying the girls that wrestle on your team now can go compete in the OHSA state tournament as a girls wrestler rather than trying to just.
Now you're
you know,
opening
right.
You're opening the gates, though. Like before, it was like, okay, you can do it if you want to. Now it's welcomed. Now they're going to sanction, which means they're going to put money behind it because they're expecting to make money. I don't think this is apples to apples here. I think this is a conflict, because if you're not playing basketball in the winter, maybe swimming, you know what I mean? I would much rather see swimming become a school sanctioned sport. And this is me, before I would see boys volleyball or girls wrestling, because meets are on Saturday. It's a winter sport for the most part, and it can be boys and girls. And if you've ever seen a swim meet or a diving meet, it's legit. And I'm not saying that wrestling's not, or boys volleyball is not. And I'm certainly not saying don't do it. I would much rather see swimming be recognized as a varsity sport at this level in the state of Ohio.
And right now it's sitting on the growing stages of that, because it's what soccer was 10 years ago. It's kind of a club sport for most of these schools.
Give me an example. And I know you can't, so this is why that's such a good point. Have you ever seen an injury in the pool?
Well, you dive and you miss you hit the board, but
no,
you can strain a muscle swimming. You can muscle strain on swimming.
Somebody told me this when we did like Canfield last year, right?
Right.
98% non-injury rate.
Right.
In the sport of swimming.
The only thing I can think of is like maybe you tear your rotator cuff while doing one of those strokes. I mean, like that like literally all I can.
And you're probably doing it wrong.
Right. Which you could see a
has
high schooler getting into swimming doing. You could see them doing something wrong or technique wrong and doing something like that. But that's the only thing I can even think
But
of.
that's JV. That would be JV. If they're doing it wrong, they should be JV, not varsity. But like, that's the thing is, you want to talk about, I think, injuries.
There's gonna be a lot
Can you tell me the highest injury rate sport in the country?
No, I could guess. And
Basketball.
I know basketball.
Basketball.
I know. Surprisingly, soccer is the highest concussion rate, which really surprised me.
Doesn't mean they use their heads all the time. Ankles, knees, wrists, in basketball, and you're constantly moving. You're constantly, going on the floor. That is the highest rate of injury in any sport. So, and that's including wrestling. That's including boxing. All of these other sports, baseball, football. To me, it's very interesting that you'd put another sport that, and I don't know what the stats are for volleyball, but volleyball is a very high impact joint sport.
Right.
Because you're jumping up and down, knees, legs, ankles, the rotator cuffs. We've seen a lot of that in volleyball as of late, because these hitters are getting stronger and stronger. And they're looking for more velo on their hits. I'm not condemning it by any means, but I am trying to draw attention, because I think it's going to be an interesting conversation between parents and kids of, I want to play this, I want to play that, and parents are going to, and not to mention sports are getting more expensive. Right. There's some pay to plays, and some people are paying upwards of $200 a sport. Can you imagine that? If you're a multi-sport athlete, you're paying $600, $800, $1,000 a year just to play sports.
I know we have 3 teams. I'd be interested to see how many teams across the state signed up for boys volleyball. What that number is.
I'm sure the OHSA has that.
Right. I haven't looked it up, but I'd be interested to see that. We have an interview with Tristan Valley that we have to get to before we end the show. So let's plug this and let's get his interview up, and then we'll come back and we'll wrap up the show and go over what we're going to have on the network tonight. This little window just okay. Got enough. On the network tonight on YSN. So here's Tristan Valley. Hello, everybody. Welcome to a Mineral Ridge football player profile. I'm Anthony Hartwig, and I am joined by Tristan Valley, a quarterback of the Mineral Ridge Rams this year. Tristan, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Yeah, no problem.
And when you look at this Mineral Ridge football team, it is one that has taken the first 3 games by storm. You guys have easily kind of knocked out the opponents in the first 3 weeks. What kind of momentum have you guys been on for the first 3 weeks of the season?
Good momentum, good vibes. We just say every week, one game at a time, and that's what we got to do, the whole entire season. Just take it one game at a time and take it very slow and, good preparation.
You come into this season, and I think a lot of people on the outside were looking at Mineral Ridge, and they said they lost Mark Bunch, who's going to be the quarterback, what the quarterback situation has looked like. But you stepped in, and you've done a tremendous job to lead this team. What has it been like stepping into this new role in Mineral Ridge and being able to take the quarterback position there?
It feels good. The players, all welcoming, welcoming with open arms. And, I feel like I feel good that I can, I've done my job so far as, what I told Coach Shane I was going to do when I first came here. And I'm glad that I'm sticking to that, and I will keep sticking to that.
When you think about Coach Shaner, what are some things that, you really latched on to with him right away?
He cares about his players. He's very good coach, good guy, good guy to hang out with. And, he really cares about, the team and, winning, and he'll do anything for his players, anything.
So when you look at your relationship with the players and building this team dynamic, what's it been like getting to know everybody, and what are some relationships that you have built so strongly already just early in the season?
Oh, it's been awesome. One of my, good friends now, Mason Miller, my receiver, one of my good friends in school, out of school. He's a really good kid, really good athlete. Ian Erb, who's a heck of a kid, great athlete, great running back. I built a really good relationship with him. Nate Rorman, who's playing middle linebacker for us. He's a stud. And just everyone around, it's really good, build those bonds and build those connections, because then, you can trust them on the field, you can rely on the field.
And trust is so important. And I think one of the guys that you have to trust the most is, of course, your offensive line. Talk about the relationship with them. I know you have a lot of great linemen that are in front of you. What's it been like just building trust in them and knowing that they're going to go out there, do their job and protect you?
Oh, it's awesome. I have full trust in my line. I cheer them up, but I get hard on them when they make a mistake. But then I'm the biggest fan when they, do good. The whole game really revolves around them, and when they do good, we play good and we win. So it's really all on them, and they've been doing a heck of a job.
Obviously, you can't be like the pros and be giving out Rolexes to the offensive linemen, but
Yeah.
What kind of little things do you do to make sure that the line knows that you appreciate them?
Give them a tap on the head, anytime they do good. Once again, I'm their fan when they do something good. And just, talk to them outside the practice. It's just once again, having that relationship with, your players and your line, especially your line, is, that's huge, because they know I have their back, and I know they got my back. So
one of the key parts of being a quarterback that goes way past raw talent and arm ability is, of course, leadership. What has it been like stepping into a leadership role in this team, and what kind of things do you think you bring to the table as a leader?
I love being a leader of this team because, week 3, Newton Falls, they kind of show me, they're ready to go. They're a team that's not going to give up. And I love that, leading a team that is like that. And, I've always been like that myself. I'll never give up on, any team that I'm playing for, especially this family. This community is really, really strong, and they've taken me with open arms, and I love them to death. But yeah.
How much preparation do you put into a game week and watching film and trying to break down the opponents and really locking down what you have to do for a Friday night?
I'm watching film every day, and I'm sure a lot of the guys are watching film every day. It's just we've had 3-0. It starts with preparation. We've had 3 good preparation weeks. We've had a good preparation this week. We got gonna have a nice crisp walkthrough next tomorrow, and then get ready for McDonald. But it's all about preparation for us.
What's your favorite part about a game week? Is it watching film? Is it the practices? Is it the walkthroughs? What is one of your favorite parts about the preparation in the process?
Oh, coming out to the tunnel easily. Beginning of the game, coming out of the locker room, you're getting ready, getting your head pumped, smacking your helmet a little bit, getting ready to run out of the tunnel. It's just a great feeling.
They say there's no better feeling than a Friday night atmosphere in a football game. What is it for you that makes Friday night so special and makes it one of those feelings that you'll never really be able to get back in your life?
It's just playing the game, just playing the game. I know it's my, last year high school ball. It's just, playing the game is the reward. I mean, there's no, you get this, you get that. It's just playing the game is just what I enjoy and what I love.
When we talk to middle range athletes, we have to talk about the student section. There's a golden megaphone in the gym for a reason. You guys bring it each and every day, whether it's volleyball, football, basketball, it doesn't matter. What do you think the middle range atmosphere is like for you on the field? And then what's it like being a part of it for the other sports?
Oh, it's amazing. The student section, whole crowd, cheering. Everybody's very vocal, and we, football players, we love that. Even our sideline being very vocal. But even other events, our student section, we're crazy, man. We're crazy, and I love it. I love the atmosphere.
What's your favorite thing so far about the Middle Ridge community and how much they support you?
Just how they took me in. New kid coming out of nowhere. They're saying, "Oh, he's gonna be, new quarterback, new this, new that." Just the way they took me in and how, they treated me in the, when I was in summer, even before I even came here, people knew. I was coming to Ridge, and even then they were trying to talk to me, and it just made me feel real good. How welcomed I was.
You had to have confidence to step into a new spot and know that you were going to be able to lead this team. There has to be some kind of inner form of confidence. Where does that come from? And how have you built your confidence throughout your career?
It's just all mental. I mean, it's all mental from, stepping out on a field Friday night, and then even in practice, just having that good mentality of, let's have a good day. Let's have a positive week, and let's get the win on Friday.
Take us through a typical Friday game day for you. What kind of things do you do to prep for the game? What are the hours leading up to the Friday night look like for Tristan Valley?
Oh, well, I'll tell you right now, I'm getting my Subway before the game. After school, I go to Subway. Right on Salt Springs. I get my Subway sandwich. I go home, I eat, and then I go straight to the stadium. I'm either chilling in the locker room or just listening to music. I'm really at the field after that for the rest of the night.
Is it the same sub every time? Do you have the go-to pregame order?
Oh, it's the same thing every time, unless we lose. If we lose, which we shouldn't, which I hope we don't. Unless we lose, I switch to jib jab.
So do you have any other superstitions? Do you have any other superstitions that you have to follow if you're winning?
No, not really. It's really just my food. I've been doing that since I was a freshman, since I was a Gerard freshman year. But no, Subway, and then if we lose, I go jib jab, and it just keeps switching off.
That's your pregame meal. I know there's a lot of energy expended in the game. What about postgame meals and what you like to eat, especially celebrating a victory?
Anything that's available, because I'm starving after a game. So anything that I can eat, I'll eat.
We know that athletes like to keep their body in check and like to eat as healthy as possible, but there's got to be some guilty pleasure foods in there. Some things that you put in that probably not the healthiest in the world, but you love them anyway. What are those guilty pleasure foods for you?
Oh, ice cream. Love ice cream. Love Reese Cups. I've been going to Rita's a lot in Austintown that opened up again. I love Rita's, but any stuff like that, like ice cream, like Italian ice, I love that stuff.
What's your favorite ice cream flavor?
Cake batter, handles.
That is me and you right there. Like telepathy.
So
like it doesn't when we don't have Sonic, but when Sonic came out with the yellow cake batter milkshakes, we drove all the way to Akron just to get them because
I've never heard of that. I might have to try that. I've never heard of that before.
Yep. Every summer, Sonic Drive-In has those yellow cake batter milkshakes. Now you go into league play. How much do you kind of go into league play and your confidence and how much are you going to take into league play knowing that Middle Ridge is a little bit under the radar right now in the MVAC?
I love it. I love being an underdog. Our team, being underdogs, gives us that little fire in the pit of our stomach. But no, going to the league, I think, we just got to put, one at a time, put our helmets in the people and, see what happens. We got to come out on top though.
What is one thing that you think makes this Middle Ridge team unique from the other teams in the MVAC that you think will give you guys the competitive edge?
We're family. We got each other's backs, no matter what happens on the field. We got each other. It's it's a brotherhood. It truly is a brotherhood. This football team is just it's a big family, and I love it.
When you when you look at your off the field activities and some of the things that you like to do when you're not playing football, what are some hobbies that you have?
I like to play golf. I love playing golf. I tried to golf actually, but I had to stop because of football. But I love playing golf. I love going to sporting events. Any Saturday night game I can go to. If a team's playing on Thursday, I'll go watch NFL. I love watching NFL. But anything sports, it's my go-to.
Yeah, because we saw your name pop up on the first couple of golf meets, and you were actually leading the team with some of these scores you were putting up. Those guys, I'm sure like you said, you had to stop golfing for football. But what was it like trying to be with those guys for the first couple of weeks of the season, and they're still putting up really good numbers in the Middle Ridge Golf Program?
Oh, I love them, man. I'm still rooting for them. One of Trey Wrigley, who's possibly one of the best golfer on the team. He's one of my best friends. He's doing amazing right now, and he's going to keep going. And I really do think they have a chance to win league. But no, they just got to keep grinding. And I love those guys.
You brought up how much you like to watch sports. What teams do you root for collegiately, pro? What's like the favorite team for Tristan Valley? Which one are you most passionate about?
College, I'll watch anyone. I'm just starting to get into college, like watching college ball. Just growing up, I've always watched pro. But college, I'm starting, getting to watch. I've been liking Oregon. I don't know why. I like their uniforms probably. And then NFL, Steelers. I've been a Steelers fan my entire life. I'm really excited about Mitch.
And I'm sure you watch, high school football when you can. Maybe check out the highlights. Like you said, you'll go watch the Saturday game if you're able to. Who's one player in the area that maybe you haven't gotten the chance to play with, but you would love to have on your team if given the opportunity?
Ooh. I think Mark Manning, Ursuline. He's a great kid. I've only talked to him a couple times, but he's a great kid. Kid's an absolute animal. What he's doing at Ursuline right now is off the charts. I'm pretty sure he's a senior this year, but no, he's doing amazing. He's a great athlete, but that'd be a kid that I would love on my team.
You've had the chance to compete against a lot of really good athletes. Who do you think is like the best athlete that you've competed against?
Ooh. I'd say when I still at Girard, I'd say TC McCaffrey, running back. When last year, man, he was I didn't play him against last year because I was hurt that year, but my sophomore year I did play against him. Even my sophomore year, he was still hard to tackle. He was a beast of a kid. He's hopefully, he does good things at, Ohio State walking on. Hopefully, he finds a spot there, but hopefully he does good, man. He was a great athlete.
Tristan, as we look on to your future, as this is your last year, what kind of things do you want to see in your future? What future plans do you have for yourself?
I would love to go play college ball. That's been my dream since I don't even know since I was a little kid. But you got to work for it, and I got to get out there. But no, I'd love to play college ball. I want to go for aerospace engineering one day. I want to do that. Work on airplanes, mostly military planes. I'd love to go into that part. But no, college ball has been my dream, and I don't even care where I go. I just want to go play.
When someone says aerospace engineering, I imagine that came from somewhere. Like there is something that took you to that spot and made you passionate about that. Is there a story behind that and how you wanted to kind of get interested in aerospace engineering?
I just, I don't know what specific day I told myself that I wanted to do that, but but whatever day it was, I looked it up. I was reading up on it. I love planes. I love going on airplanes. I think it's really cool. I'd love to fly my own plane. One day. I don't even care what kind of plane it is. I just want to fly one. But I think I was looking up and I saw how much money it made a year. So I was kind of just like, I love planes. I like building things. So might as well. I'm good at math too. So might as well.
What about now that you're going into your last year of school, what are going to be some of the things that you're going to be studying the senior year? What are some of your favorite classes so far?
I like trig pre-calc because I know that's going to, get me ready for aerospace engineering, the math part. I have a lot of hard classes this year just because of my transfer. So it was a little weird. So I kind of, as a senior, it's a little weird because I have hard classes this year. But I know I like trig pre-calc, and then I'm not going to lie, I really like my English class. I don't like English, but I like my English class.
How good are you at balancing the time with, football, school, trying to still have some kind of a social life? How do you balance all that? Is it something that you were always good at, or is it something that you've developed time management skills?
I don't really, it's not really a balance for me. It's kind of just, it's school sports. That's how I've been since my ninth grade year. It's just school and sports, and football has been my life, and that's what I've always been working on. Even, and then when we go like out of full season, basketball, track, anything, it's always been just school football or school sports.
All right, Tristan, before we let you go, I want to give you a chance to shout out your support system and all the people that have been there for you throughout your career.
My family, my mom, dad, my sister, man, they've been through so much with me, Gerard here. I love them to death, and all my other family too, Nana, Papa, grandma, grandpas, uncles, aunts, everybody's really been by my side. And someone who passed away last year, his name is Sal Ponzio. He was, one of our, help coaches at Gerard. He was, I have a picture of him in my locker. He was a big inspiration to me. And, I think about him every day. And before game day, I always look at my locker. I think of him, and, it really gives me motivation.
Tristan, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. We have loved covering you the first 3 weeks. We'll continue covering you throughout your season. We wish you the best of luck, and we look forward to talking to you again real soon.
Yep, sounds good.
That was Tristan Valley, one of the big reasons why Middle Ridge is having such an impressive start to their season. A great leader, great quarterback for the Rams, and I love that he got a chance to highlight his offensive line too, because the Middle Ridge Rams have a really good O-line, and they're one of the reasons why he's so well protected.
Absolutely. They'll tell you that. And that's the exciting thing, man. You talk about high character kids. Tristan is up there on that list, certainly. Just great interview with him, and well-spoken young man. And he's going to do big things, no doubt in my mind.
Let's look at the games. It'll be on the network tonight before we get out of here for Casual Sports coming up at 2. Hubbard will be traveling to Struthers. Bob Zaney will be on the call for that. There's going to be a 6:30 first serve for volleyball in the Struthers Fieldhouse. Boardman at Fitch. Ty Bartell will be there for that one, a battle in the AAC. Boardman coming off a win last night, so they're bringing momentum into the Falcons' nest. Garfield and Crestview will battle for first place in the MVAC gray tier. I will be there in Crestview for that one. Howland will travel to Cardinal Mooney. Noah Ricks will be on the call for that one at 7 o'clock. Liberty and Camel Memorial will be doing battle in Camel. Alec Caberna traveling to Camel for that call. Poland will go to South Range. That one will be on the network video only on their huddle cam. And then Warren Harding travels to Canfield. Richie Giuliano will have the call for that one. We travel down to some other games that are happening, big games that are happening. First place on the line in McDonald, as well as McDonald will be hosting Mineral Ridge. First place in the MVAC Scarlet tier on the line tonight. First place on the MVAC Gray tier on the line tonight. So 2 big games in the MVAC on the volleyball court.
I mean, these games just keep getting bigger and bigger based on the later the season we get. It's crazy to think that the season started almost a month ago, Anthony. It's just unbelievable to me to think that we have 21 days. This is week 4, football. And I think the other sports kind of go hand in hand with it, because volleyball started on that Saturday. Did they not? Right. I think soccer is the only sport that started before.
Soccer and golf started about a week before.
Yeah. So I said it last night during the broadcast, like blink and it'll be Halloween, blink again, it'll be Thanksgiving, and blink again, and we're tracking Santa Claus.
How about yesterday when Brian Toner said, we're about 2 weeks away from sectionals? I was like, excuse me? Golf is getting ready to wrap up the regular season here in a little bit, so it goes really quick.
And I want to apologize to Brian and to all, I know there's avid golf watchers and followers here on this show. I have been booked solid. So I'm the guy that's doing all the edits and stuff for Tonar's tips and Tonar's takes and Brian's basics and all that stuff. You can watch it on YSN Live right now. I made sure that I put a thing out. We're going to make sure we do that from now on. And we will have Brian back on naturally and have the tips back on here. But just the week got away from me with the travel and all that stuff. So I do apologize.
It's all right, DJ. And, like you said, at least we still have it up, and you can go watch it on ysnlive.com along with all the stories and recaps from last night's action. We're gonna say goodbye. Casual Sports Podcast coming up from 2 to 3. There will be a power hour because prime time is going to be on Saturday with Valley Christian and United. DJ, what's gonna? Well, no, actually, Power Hour. You can go to our social medias because we got to get out of here for casual sports. So
Nice.
we'll see you all tomorrow. Me and Ty will be previewing every football matchup in the books for Friday, and we'll have fun with that. So see you all